My most asked question has to be, why did I quit professionally dancing? And I get this almost every single day. And here's why I quit my job and my dream job as a professional ballerina. So a bit of a backstory. I went to ballet school from the age of 14 and I graduated at the ballet school, and then I did the post-secondary program where I got the opportunity to travel and do contract work at this one company for a couple of months. And then after that, I did audition after audition after audition. I think I did close to 10 auditions in total, and all of them said no to me except for the final one that finally said yes. So I packed my bags and moved to Eastern Europe all alone. I'd never been before, but like I said, I packed my bags and I left. Now, while I was over there, I had the best friends. I still have those friends, but they still live over in Europe, so I don't see them often, or I haven't seen them since I left. But like I said, I moved there and I ended up working in Eastern Europe for close to 5 years. I was in my 4th season when I formally and officially quit the company, and here is why. Now, you've probably heard the term starving artist before, and there's truth to that, because when I went over there, although it was my first job, I knew it wasn't going to be the best pay, and I took it on. I thought it would get better, but honestly, the cost of living went up and my pay didn't, and it became really, really difficult to sustain, and it got so difficult to the point where I couldn't even afford clean water. Not to mention, we were paying for visas, we were paying for plane tickets, at least I was, because I lived in Canada still, technically, like my family still did. So I went home during the summer since I wasn't employed, but my salary was about 1/3 of the salary that I'm earning right now. It just really wasn't livable, and it was taking a toll on me because my mental health was already kind of deteriorating at that point after auditions and being rejected so many times. So I went home the summer of 2019, and after a year where our pay was withheld for almost 3 months, where I still had to pay rent, I still had to buy groceries, I still had to feed my cat, that was always the priority, I told myself and I talked to my mom that this was the year that I was either going to get out or take hold of my life a bit more and, I don't know, try to save a bit more, because it was really difficult to save with that kind of salary, but it just wasn't helping the fact that I was living alone. So I decided to move in with a roommate, and he is one of my best friends. And that is also the summer that I met Steven, and at that point I was like 90% sure I was going to leave either at the end of the year or mid-year. And then at the end of the summer, I actually ended up getting an audition in Canada. So I kind of just said to myself, okay, this is a sign. Plus, like I said, my mental health had been deteriorating fast. I had been injured. I had a femoral stress fracture, and that means that my femur had literally fractured from the stress that I had put on it, both from dancing and not having a break, but also from poor nutrition. Okay, so I got cut off. This is part 2 as to why I quit my dream job of being a ballerina in my early 20s. So like I said, I got my dream job. I was a ballerina. I was a professional ballet dancer in a national company, and I was living my life with my friends. Don't get me wrong, I loved my life. I loved my apartment. I loved my cat, whom I still have, and I adopted her while I was in Romania, which will be another story time for another time. But why did I leave? Why did I quit? Like I mentioned before, my mental health was deteriorating. I had a femoral stress fracture. I ended up getting a couple of auditions in Canada. I got one, and then one was kind of like, oh, this person is going to be watching the class. You should be there just in case they hire somebody there. I had also met Steven in this summer, and I had told myself this year that I was going to get out in some way because A, the pay was really terrible. My mental health wasn't worth it anymore, even though I loved my people there. I loved my friends. They were like my family. And overall, I had a really great experience when I was over there, except for the fact that my body image was really, really, really at an all-time low. I was injured the year before I ended up quitting, and while I was injured, I had people tell me certain things about my body which were completely unwarranted, completely unprofessional, and I think personally, as a dance educator, is something that should never be said to any human being or any dancer. So anyways, all these things pile on, plus the fact that there was a 3-month period where we were not paid. Our pay was withheld from us because the company was just having problems with budgeting, I guess, which led to poor nutrition, which led to poor mental health, which led to injury. So it just felt like everything was stacking on itself. And then this opportunity came along where I could audition in Canada. And I just said, you know what, I'm gonna move back, because the worst case scenario, if I don't get this job, I'll go back home or I'll look for another job, but I can't stay where I am right now. And I stand by that decision, because although I love my friends, and that was probably the hardest breakup I ever had to go through. I cried the entire time on the plane on the way home. They even made me like this book with all the pictures. I get emotional thinking about it. I still have it. And they all wrote these page entries of like our time together. It was just like a family. That's all I can say. Our friend group was a family, and it was the most gut-wrenching and saddened moments of my life, or at least one of them. But I don't regret my decision in leaving the ballet world, because after I flew back to Canada, I didn't get the job, and that's okay. I had to sit with myself and be like, okay, another rejection. How am I going to deal with this? So I ended up keep auditioning. I sent out my things to other companies. I kept going. And then 2020, the world stopped, as we all know. And I was like, you know what? There's just so many things that are telling me right now that this isn't aligning with the plan I'm supposed to have. And I've been teaching for the years beforehand as a side job. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take it up full time. I'm going to start posting on social media. I'm going to try to grow my own business. And yeah.